Dear soulmate, stop what you are doing right now. Yes, you. Do not let this message play in the background while you scroll through your phone. Do not listen to this while you are surrounded by noise, conversations, distractions, and people who do not understand what is happening inside your heart. My beloved, go to your room. Close the door. Sit down. Take a deep breath. And watch this alone right now. Because there are some words that are not meant to be heard in a crowded room. There are some truths that can only reach the deepest part of your heart when everything around you becomes quiet. And my dear one, something in your life is asking for your full attention. You have been carrying something silently. You have smiled when you wanted to cry. You have said, "I'm okay," when deep inside you were asking, "How much longer?" You have encouraged other people while secretly wondering who would encourage you. You have prayed for others while wondering when your own prayer would finally be answered. And perhaps nobody knows the full weight of what you have been carrying. But tonight, or whenever you are hearing these words, I want you to understand something. You are not weak because you are tired. You are not forgotten because the answer has taken time. You are not abandoned because the door has not opened yet. And you are certainly not alone because you cannot see what is happening behind the scenes. My child, my beloved, there are moments when heaven seems silent, but silence does not mean absence. Sometimes silence means preparation. Sometimes delay means protection. Sometimes what looks like rejection is actually redirection. And sometimes, the person you thought was your soulmate was only a chapter preparing you for the person who was truly meant to meet the healed version of you. That is why I am asking you to listen carefully. Because this message is not about chasing someone. It is not about forcing someone to love you. It is not about begging someone to stay. My dear one, real love will never require you to destroy yourself just to prove that you deserve it. The love that is meant to remain in your life will not ask you to abandon your dignity. It will not constantly make you question your worth. It will not keep you trapped in confusion forever. And if you have been experiencing confusion, if you have been feeling emotionally exhausted, if someone has been appearing and disappearing from your life, if you have been receiving mixed signals that have left your heart restless, then pay attention. Because your season of confusion may be coming to an end. Something is shifting. Something is changing. Something you cannot yet see is moving closer to the surface. And this is why I told you to close the door. Not because you should hide from the world. But because for a few moments, you need to step away from the voices that have been telling you what to believe about yourself. You need to hear your own heart again. You need to remember who you were before disappointment taught you to expect the worst. You need to remember the person you were before betrayal made you suspicious. You need to remember the dream you had before rejection convinced you that you were asking for too much. My beloved, you have spent too much time looking at what went wrong. Tonight, I want you to look at what may be going right. Because there are things happening in your life that you have not yet recognized. That sudden feeling you have been experiencing. That strange emotional heaviness. Those unexpected memories. That person who keeps crossing your mind. The dreams you cannot explain. The feeling that something is about to change. Maybe you thought these things were random. Maybe you dismissed them. Maybe you told yourself, "I'm just imagining things." But my dear one, sometimes your heart senses a transition before your eyes can see it. And I want you to listen to this next part very carefully. You may have been asking, where is my soulmate? But perhaps the better question is, who am I becoming before I meet them? Because the greatest preparation is not always about bringing another person into your life. Sometimes the preparation is about removing everything that would make you lose yourself once they arrive. Think about that. What if the delay was not punishment? What if the waiting was protection? What if you were being separated from people who would have distracted you from the person you were becoming? What if certain relationships ended because they could not survive the person you were destined to become? My child, some doors had to close. Some conversations had to end. Some people had to walk away. Some friendships had to reveal their true nature. Some relationships had to break your heart. Not because your heart was meant to remain broken, but because you were being awakened. And yes, awakening can hurt. Growth can hurt. Healing can hurt. But there is a difference between pain that destroys you and pain that transforms you. You have survived both. You know what it feels like to lose someone you thought would stay. You know what it feels like to wait for a message that never came. You know what it feels like to stare at your phone and wonder why someone suddenly became distant. You know what it feels like to love someone who could not love you in the way you needed. And perhaps you have even asked yourself, was I not enough? My dear one, listen to me. You were never required to become less of yourself to be worthy of love. You were never too much. You were never too emotional. You were never too sensitive. You were never too difficult to love. You simply encountered people who did not have the capacity to handle the depth of what you were offering. And now, you are entering a different chapter. A chapter where you will no longer confuse anxiety with love. A chapter where you will no longer mistake inconsistency for mystery. A chapter where you will no longer chase someone simply because they know how to disappear. My beloved, the person meant to walk beside you will not require you to constantly decode their behavior. You will not have to beg for basic communication. You will not have to compete for attention. You will not have to wonder whether you matter. There will still be challenges, because no relationship is perfect. But there will be something you have been missing for a long time. Peace. And perhaps that is the greatest sign of all. Not butterflies that make you anxious. Not obsession that keeps you awake. Not uncertainty that makes you question your worth. Peace. A love that allows you to breathe. A love that does not make you feel like you are constantly standing on the edge of abandonment. A love that encourages you to become more of who you are instead of making you disappear. My dear one, if your heart has been exhausted from waiting, I want you to hear this clearly. Do not give up on love. But also, do not give up on yourself while waiting for love. That is the mistake I do not want you to make. You are not sitting in a waiting room while life happens to everyone else. Your life is happening right now. Your healing is happening now. Your growth is happening now. Your purpose is happening now. Your breakthrough is being built now. And your future is being prepared in ways you cannot yet understand. Perhaps you have been worried about money. Perhaps you have been worried about your career. Perhaps your family situation has been weighing heavily on you. Perhaps you have been struggling with your confidence. Perhaps you have been asking for a breakthrough in more than one area of your life. My child, My beloved, do not believe that your soulmate journey is separate from the rest of your transformation. The person you are becoming emotionally, spiritually, financially, and mentally. That person matters. You are not only preparing to meet someone. You are preparing to build something. A life. A home. A future. A relationship that can survive reality. And that is why certain things had to happen first. You needed to learn boundaries. You needed to learn patience. You needed to learn discernment. You needed to learn that not everyone who says they love you knows how to love you. You needed to learn that attraction is not always alignment. You needed to learn that chemistry is not always compatibility. And you needed to learn that sometimes the most painful goodbye becomes the doorway to the most peaceful hello. My beloved, I know you still have questions. I know there is a name that sometimes enters your mind. I know there may be someone from your past whose memory still feels strangely alive. And perhaps you are wondering, is that person coming back? Was that person truly my soulmate? Why did they leave? Why did they change? Why did everything feel so powerful and then suddenly become so confusing? My dear one, do not rush to answer those questions yet. Because there is something you need to understand first. Sometimes a person can be deeply significant without being your final destination. Sometimes someone enters your life to awaken a part of you. Then leaves so you can discover the rest. And sometimes, the person you thought you lost was actually the person who helped you find yourself. That is why I need you to stop looking backward for a moment. Look at yourself. Look at the strength you have developed. Look at the wisdom you carry now. Look at the things you no longer tolerate. Look at the way you now recognize patterns that once controlled you. You are not the same person who entered your last heartbreak. You are wiser now. Stronger now. More discerning now. And that matters. Because the next chapter cannot be lived with the mindset of the previous one. My child. Something has to change. And it begins tonight. It begins with one decision. You will no longer allow fear to write the story of your future. You will no longer assume that because something has not happened yet, it will never happen. You will no longer interpret silence as proof that you have been forgotten. You will no longer allow one person's rejection to become your identity. And you will no longer chase what keeps running away from you. If someone is truly meant to walk into your life, let them walk. Let them show up. Let them communicate. Let them make an effort. Let them demonstrate consistency. Because you are entering a season where words alone will no longer impress you. Actions will. My beloved. There is a reason you felt compelled to click on this message. Maybe the title caught your attention. Maybe you were curious. Maybe you were feeling lonely. Maybe you were looking for a sign. Whatever brought you here. Stay with this message. Because we are only at the beginning. There is a deeper reason why you have been feeling this strange internal shift. There is a reason why certain memories have returned. There is a reason why your heart has been unusually sensitive. There is a reason why you have been questioning the people around you. And there is a reason why your soul seems to be demanding clarity. Something is being revealed. But before it is revealed to you, something must first be removed from you. And my dear one, That is where this journey becomes personal. Because the greatest obstacle standing between you and the love you desire may not be another person. It may be the fear you have carried from the people who hurt you. It may be the belief that everyone eventually leaves. It may be the belief that you must earn love. It may be the fear that if you finally trust someone, they will betray you again. And if that is where you are right now, then listen carefully. You do not have to become fearless before love finds you. But you do have to become honest with yourself. You have to admit what hurt. You have to acknowledge what you lost. You have to release what you cannot control. And you have to make room for something new. My child, my beloved. The door you are sitting behind right now may be closed. But your life is not closed. Your future is not closed. Your story is not finished. And the love you have been praying for is not impossible. So breathe. Let the noise disappear. Let the fear become quiet. And for just a few moments, believe that your story may be changing in ways you cannot yet see. Because in the next part, we are going to uncover the hidden struggle that has been quietly affecting your soulmate journey, the invisible battle between your heart, your past, and the future you have been asking for. And once you understand what has really been happening, you may finally realize why the waiting had to happen before the breakthrough could begin. And once you understand what has really been happening, you may finally realize why the waiting had to happen before the breakthrough could begin. My beloved, you thought the waiting was empty. You thought nothing was happening. You thought every silent night meant that your prayers were disappearing into the darkness. But what if the silence was not empty at all? What if it was full of preparation? What if while you were asking, "Where is my soulmate?" life was quietly preparing you to recognize the difference between temporary attention and genuine love? My dear one, this is where your story becomes deeper. Because your greatest struggle has not simply been loneliness. Your greatest struggle has been uncertainty. You have been fighting questions that nobody else can answer for you. Am I on the right path? Will I ever experience the love I desire? Why does everyone else seem to be moving forward while I am still waiting? Why did the person I loved walk away? Why did I have to go through that heartbreak? And perhaps the most painful question of all. Will it ever be different this time? My child, my beloved. I know that question. I know the fear behind it. Because when you have been disappointed enough times, even good things can begin to frighten you. You can meet someone kind and still wonder when they will change. You can receive affection and still wait for the moment it disappears. You can hear beautiful words and secretly prepare yourself for the day those words become silence. That is what heartbreak does. It doesn't only break your heart. Sometimes it changes the way you interpret everything that comes afterward. And this is why your healing matters. Because if you carry yesterday's wounds into tomorrow's relationship, you may accidentally punish someone for something they never did. You may push away what is good because you are afraid of losing it. You may question consistency because inconsistency is what you learn to expect. You may mistake peace for boredom because chaos once felt like passion. My dear one, you must understand this. The person meant for your future should not have to constantly fight the ghosts of your past. And you should not have to spend your entire future fighting them either. So tonight, in the quietness of this room, I want you to begin releasing something. Not your desire for love. Not your hope. Not your dreams. Release the expectation that your future must repeat your past. It does not. Your past happened. But it does not own your future. The person who betrayed you does not get to decide how the next person will treat you. The person who abandoned you does not get to define how deeply you can be loved. The relationship that failed does not get to write the ending of your story. My beloved, you are allowed to begin again. And maybe that is what this entire season has been about. Beginning again. You thought you were being delayed. But you were being rebuilt. You thought you were being forgotten. But you were being strengthened. You thought you were being rejected. But you were being redirected toward a version of yourself that would no longer accept less than what was healthy, honest, and real. There are people who would have loved the old version of you because the old version of you tolerated too much. The new version of you is different. The new version asks questions. The new version notices patterns. The new version does not ignore red flags simply because the chemistry feels powerful. The new version understands that love is not only about how someone makes your heart race. It is about how safe your heart feels when the excitement becomes ordinary life. And my child, that is the kind of love you are being prepared for. Not fantasy. Not illusion. Not a temporary emotional high. Something deeper. Something grounded. Something capable of surviving the days when life becomes difficult. Because your soulmate is not coming into your life simply to create a beautiful moment. The right person is meant to become part of your journey. And journeys require maturity. They require patience. They require forgiveness. They require communication. They require two people who understand that love is not proven only when everything is easy. Love is revealed when everything becomes difficult. That is why your preparation has been so intense. You have been learning how to stand alone. And that lesson was painful. You wanted someone to save you. You wanted someone to say, I am here. You don't have to carry everything anymore. But instead, you had to carry yourself. You had to wake up alone. You had to encourage yourself. You had to wipe your own tears. You had to make decisions without knowing whether they were right. You had to keep going when nobody applauded you. And my dear one, that strength will matter when love finally arrives. Because now you know the difference between wanting someone and needing someone to complete you. You no longer need another human being to prove that you have value. You want companionship. You want partnership. You want intimacy. You want someone to build with. But you are learning that you are already whole. And that changes everything. Because when you know your worth, you stop begging people to recognize it. When you know your value, you stop negotiating with people who consistently disrespect it. When you know who you are, you stop chasing people who only love you when it is convenient. My beloved, this is the breakthrough that nobody talks about. Sometimes the greatest soulmate breakthrough happens inside you before it happens outside you. Your circumstances may still look the same. Your phone may still be quiet. Your relationship status may still be unchanged. Your bank account may still be recovering. Your career may still be uncertain. Your family may still have problems. But something inside you has shifted. And once you shift internally, you begin making different choices externally. You stop responding to the same triggers. You stop returning to the same cycles. You stop reopening doors that only lead back to the same pain. And then, your life begins to change. My child, my beloved. Perhaps you have been asking for a person. But maybe life has been preparing you for a relationship. There is a difference. A person can arrive suddenly. A relationship requires preparation. A person can make promises. A relationship requires consistency. A person can say, "I love you." A relationship asks, "Can we build something together?" And my dear one, you deserve the second. You deserve something that exists beyond words. You deserve someone whose actions make their words believable. You deserve someone who does not disappear when things become inconvenient. You deserve someone who can communicate when emotions become difficult. You deserve someone who understands that your heart is not a playground. And you deserve the same thing from yourself. Yes. From yourself. Because you must also stop abandoning yourself. How many times did you know something was wrong but stayed? How many times did your intuition warn you, but you ignored it because you wanted the relationship to work? How many times did you accept crumbs because you were afraid that asking for more would make someone leave? My dear one. Never again. Let that be your declaration. Never again will I betray myself to keep someone else. Never again will I silence my needs just to maintain a connection. Never again will I confuse being chosen with being loved. Never again will I sacrifice my peace for temporary attention. Say it quietly if you need to. Say it with tears in your eyes. Say it when nobody else is listening. Because your soulmate journey is not just about finding the right person. It is about becoming the person who can recognize the right person. And this is where something unexpected begins to happen. When you stop chasing, you begin seeing. When you stop forcing, you begin recognizing. When you stop begging, you begin receiving. When you stop trying to control every detail, you begin trusting the process. My beloved, there is something I need you to understand about timing. You have been measuring your life with a human clock. You look at your age. You look at your past. You look at your friends. You look at couples around you. You look at people getting married. You look at people having children. You look at people building careers. And somewhere inside, a voice whispers, "I'm behind." My child. You are not behind. You are on your journey. Your life does not have to look like someone else's to be meaningful. The person who found love at 20 may not have the same story as the person who finds it at 40. The person who married early may face lessons you cannot see. The person who seems to have everything may be fighting battles you know nothing about. Stop comparing your private chapter to someone else's public moment. Your story is still unfolding. And I believe there is a reason you have not seen the entire picture yet. Because if you had seen everything too early, you might have tried to force it. You might have rushed. You might have chosen the wrong person simply because you were afraid of waiting. Sometimes not knowing is protection. Sometimes uncertainty keeps you from making a decision that would have changed everything for the worse. My beloved, you thought you were waiting for someone. But perhaps someone was also being prepared. Somewhere in this vast world, there may be another heart learning lessons that you have already learned. Another person discovering what commitment means. Another person healing from betrayal. Another person learning how to communicate. Another person realizing that superficial connections no longer satisfy them. Another person becoming tired of temporary relationships. Another person quietly asking the same question you have asked. Where is the person I can finally build something real with? And perhaps your paths are moving closer. Not because you forced them. Not because you chased them. But because life has a mysterious way of bringing two prepared people into the same chapter at the right time. My dear one. Maybe that is why certain connections have not worked. Maybe you were trying to build a permanent future with someone who was only meant to teach you a temporary lesson. Maybe you were trying to hold on to someone whose purpose in your life had already been completed. And I know that hurts. It hurts to accept that someone you deeply loved may not be part of your final chapter. But sometimes the hardest truth is also the beginning of freedom. You can love someone and still let them go. You can appreciate what they taught you and still move forward. You can forgive them without reopening the door. You can remember them without returning to them. And you can wish them well without sacrificing your own future. My child, my beloved. You are not required to hate your past in order to embrace your future. You only need to stop living there. And perhaps this is your moment. The moment you finally say, I release what I cannot change. I release the people who could not stay. I release the conversations I will never receive answers to. I release the version of myself that believed I was unworthy. I release the fear that my best days are behind me. Because your best days are not behind you. Your best days can still be ahead. Your greatest love may still be ahead. Your greatest financial breakthrough may still be ahead. Your greatest emotional healing may still be ahead. Your greatest testimony may still be ahead. And yes, there may still be difficult days. But you are no longer the person who entered those difficult days before. You have wisdom now. You have discernment now. You have strength now. And you have learned to survive the silence. My beloved. The silence that once terrified you may become the place where you finally hear the truth. And the truth is this. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible. You are not disqualified from love because of your past. You are not too late. You are not too broken. You are not too old. You are not too complicated. You are not impossible to love. You are becoming ready. And perhaps the person you are meant to meet is becoming ready too. But there is still one thing standing between the life you have known and the life you have been praying for. Something you cannot see with your physical eyes. Something that has been influencing your decisions. Something that has been making you question your own intuition. Something that has caused you to repeatedly return to people and situations that were never designed to give you peace. My dear one. In the next part, we are going to confront that hidden force directly, the fear that has been disguising itself as intuition, the attachment that has been disguising itself as destiny, and the powerful moment when you finally learn to recognize whether a connection is truly meant to stay, or whether it was only sent to prepare you for the love that is still coming. And when that realization finally reaches your heart, you will understand why one door had to remain closed for so long, because the door waiting to open next may lead you into a chapter you never thought possible. Because the door waiting to open next may lead you into a chapter you never thought possible. My beloved, now we come to the part you have been avoiding. The part your heart knows is true, but your mind has been trying to explain away. You have been asking for a sign. You have been asking for clarity. You have been asking, is this person truly meant for me? But my dear one, the answer will not always come through a dramatic event. Sometimes the answer comes through peace. Sometimes it comes through distance. Sometimes it comes through the sudden loss of desire for what once consumed you. And sometimes, the greatest sign that something is not meant for you is that you have to constantly fight to keep it alive. My child, my beloved, listen carefully. Love should not require you to abandon your identity. Love should not require you to become smaller. Love should not require you to constantly prove that you are worthy of being chosen. And if you have been in a connection where you were always the one reaching, always the one waiting, always the one apologizing, always the one wondering what you did wrong, then perhaps you were not being shown your soulmate. Perhaps you were being shown your lesson. There is a difference. A lesson can feel intense. A lesson can feel unforgettable. A lesson can feel like destiny. A lesson can even feel like the deepest love you have ever experienced. But intensity alone does not make something permanent. My dear one, never confuse emotional intensity with divine alignment. Sometimes the person who triggers your deepest wounds is not the person who is meant to heal them. Sometimes they are simply revealing the wounds that need your attention. And that is why your past had to hurt. Not because you were being punished, but because you could no longer continue living asleep. You had to see what you were tolerating. You had to recognize what you were accepting. You had to finally understand that loneliness is not always worse than being with the wrong person. My beloved, there were nights when you would have accepted almost anything just to stop feeling alone. You would have accepted a message, a phone call, a little attention, a few words of affection. You would have taken the smallest amount of love and convinced yourself it was enough. But something inside you began to change. Slowly, quietly, painfully. You started wanting more. Not more attention. More truth. Not more chemistry. More consistency. Not more promises. More action. And that change was the beginning of your breakthrough. Because once your standards rise, your old patterns can no longer comfortably live inside your life. My child, that is why certain people began disappearing. That is why certain connections suddenly became uncomfortable. That is why conversations that once excited you began leaving you emotionally exhausted. Your spirit was becoming aware of what your heart had been ignoring. And my dear one, awareness can be painful. Because once you see the truth, you cannot unknow it. You can pretend. You can delay. You can go back. But deep down, you know. You know when someone is not being honest. You know when someone is only giving you attention because they are lonely. You know when someone is keeping you close without truly choosing you. You know when someone says they care but their behavior continuously creates pain. And you know when you are making excuses for someone because you are afraid of losing them. My beloved, you were never meant to live in permanent confusion. You were meant to experience clarity. And that clarity may be arriving now. Look at the signs around you. Look at the patterns. Look at what keeps repeating. Who brings peace into your life? Who brings anxiety? Who celebrates your growth? Who becomes uncomfortable when you become stronger? Who respects your boundaries? Who only respects you when you are useful to them? Who makes you feel seen? Who makes you feel invisible? My dear one. These questions matter. Because your soulmate will not simply be the person who makes your heart beat faster. Your soulmate will be someone whose presence allows you to become more honest with yourself. Someone who can see your strength without being threatened by it. Someone who can see your vulnerability without using it against you. Someone who can hear your truth without punishing you for speaking it. Someone who can disagree with you without destroying you. Someone who can love you without controlling you. And perhaps most importantly, someone who chooses you when there is no audience watching. My child, my beloved. Real love does not need a stage. It does not need constant public performance. It does not need everyone else to validate it. It can exist quietly. It can grow privately. It can survive ordinary days. It can survive silence without becoming punishment. It can survive distance without becoming betrayal. And when conflict comes, it searches for resolution instead of revenge. This is the kind of love your heart has been preparing for. But before you can recognize it, you must release the false definition of love that your past taught you. Maybe you learned that love means suffering. Maybe you learned that love means waiting. Maybe you learned that love means proving yourself. Maybe you learned that love means sacrificing everything. My dear one. That is not the only definition of love. Love can be peaceful. Love can be safe. Love can be consistent. Love can be exciting without being destructive. Love can challenge you without humiliating you. Love can ask you to grow without asking you to disappear. And perhaps this is why your previous connections could not continue. You were asking them to give you something they did not know how to give. And no matter how much you loved them, you could not teach someone to become emotionally available if they were committed to remaining closed. You could not force someone to communicate if they preferred silence. You could not make someone choose you if they were determined to keep one foot outside the relationship. My beloved. Stop taking responsibility for another person's inability to love you properly. That burden was never yours. You can communicate. You can forgive. You can be patient. But you cannot do another person's inner work for them. And that is a lesson you must carry forward. Because when the right person enters your life, you will not have to drag them toward emotional maturity. They will already understand the value of showing up. They will make mistakes, yes. They will have flaws. They will sometimes misunderstand you. But they will be willing to repair. That is the difference. The right person is not perfect. The right person is willing. Willing to listen. Willing to learn. Willing to apologize. Willing to grow. Willing to build. My child. Do not search for perfection. Search for willingness. Because a willing heart can build a beautiful life. A stubborn heart can destroy even the strongest connection. And now, there is another area of your life that has been connected to this entire journey. Your confidence. Your sense of security. Your ability to trust yourself. My dear one, you have been questioning your own judgment. You have been thinking, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I imagined the connection. Maybe I was too sensitive. Maybe I expected too much. Maybe I should have stayed. Maybe I should have tried harder. But what if you tried enough? What if you gave enough? What if you explained enough? What if you waited enough? What if the relationship ended because it had reached the limit of what it could teach you? My beloved, you are allowed to stop asking yourself what you could have done differently. Sometimes you did everything you could. Sometimes you loved someone sincerely and it still did not work. That does not make your love meaningless. It makes you human. And now, you are learning to trust yourself again. This is important. Because when your soulmate enters your life, you must be able to recognize what is real without letting fear destroy it. You must be able to say, "This feels different." And when your past whispers, "Everyone leaves," you must be able to answer, "That was then." You must be able to receive love without immediately preparing for loss. You must be able to enjoy happiness without constantly predicting tragedy. My dear one, that will be one of your greatest forms of healing. Learning to stay present when something good finally arrives. Because sometimes people who have suffered deeply become so afraid of losing happiness that they cannot fully experience it. They are waiting for the other shoe to drop. They are waiting for the message to change. They are waiting for the person to disappear. They are waiting for the betrayal. My child, do not punish tomorrow for what yesterday did. The future deserves a chance to be different. And you deserve a chance to experience something different. Now listen carefully. There may come a moment when someone enters your life and you feel an unusual sense of familiarity. Not because you have known them forever, but because your nervous system does not feel threatened by their presence. You can breathe around them. You can speak honestly. You can be imperfect. You do not have to perform. You do not have to impress. You do not have to constantly prove your value. You simply exist. And they see you. My beloved. That is a powerful sign. Peace. Not the absence of passion. Not the absence of attraction. But the presence of emotional safety. And when that moment comes, do not sabotage it because it feels unfamiliar. You have spent years learning chaos. Peace may initially feel strange. Consistency may feel boring if your past was full of uncertainty. A person who responds may feel suspicious if you were used to waiting. A person who communicates may feel too good to be true if you were trained to expect disappointment. But my dear one, do not reject healthy love simply because unhealthy love was more familiar. That is why you are being prepared now. You are learning to recognize the difference. And perhaps, this is the hidden reason you were told to watch this message alone. Because there are truths you cannot hear when everyone else is speaking. You need to hear your own heart. You need to ask yourself one honest question. Not, who is my soulmate? But, am I ready to receive the kind of love I keep asking for? Sit with that question. Do not answer quickly. Think about it. Are you ready to stop chasing? Are you ready to communicate instead of assuming? Are you ready to set boundaries? Are you ready to walk away from disrespect? Are you ready to forgive without forgetting the lesson? Are you ready to trust slowly? Are you ready to let someone prove themselves through consistency? Are you ready to become vulnerable without losing yourself? My beloved, Because the love you desire will require a new version of you. Not a fake version. Not a perfect version. A healed version. A wiser version. A more honest version. And that version is being formed right now. Even through the pain. Even through the loneliness. Even through the nights when you thought nothing was changing. Something was changing. You were changing. And that may be the greatest miracle of all. But there is one more layer to this story. Because while you have been healing emotionally, there may also be a practical transformation taking place around you. Your finances. Your work. Your stability. Your confidence. Your independence. Your ability to build a life that does not depend on another person's presence. My child. Do not overlook this. Sometimes the soulmate chapter cannot fully begin until you stop believing that another person is the solution to every problem in your life. You must build your own foundation. You must become emotionally and practically strong. You must learn to stand. Because your soulmate should not become your rescue plan. They should become your partner. And there is a difference. My dear one. You are not waiting for someone to save you. You are preparing to meet someone who can walk beside you while you both build something greater than either of you could build alone. And that is why I believe your next chapter will be different. Because you are different. The person you were yesterday might have accepted anything. But the person you are becoming will recognize alignment. The person you are becoming will recognize peace. The person you are becoming will recognize effort. The person you are becoming will recognize love that does not need to be chased. And now, the signs are beginning to become clearer. A memory. A dream. A sudden realization. An unexpected conversation. A person returning. A person leaving. A door opening. A door closing. A feeling of peace after months of confusion. These moments may seem unrelated. But sometimes the pieces only make sense when you look backward. My beloved. You may not understand the timing today. But one day, you may look back and say, now I understand why that had to end. Now I understand why I had to wait. Now I understand why I could not stay there. Now I understand why I had to become this person first. And when that day comes, you will not be angry about the closed doors. You will be grateful. Because the closed door was never the end of your story. It was the protection that kept you from entering the wrong chapter. My child, my beloved. There is a reason you are still here. There is a reason your heart still hopes. There is a reason you have not completely given up. And there is a reason something inside you keeps whispering. Something better is possible. Hold on to that whisper. Not because you should blindly expect a specific person to return. But because you should never stop believing that your life can become more peaceful, more meaningful, and more beautiful than it has been. And my dear one, the next part is where the hidden pieces begin to connect. The signs you have been noticing. The person you cannot stop thinking about. The sudden changes around you. The unexpected opportunities. The strange sense that something is approaching. We are going to bring them together and reveal the moment when your waiting season begins turning into a season of movement, because what you thought was the end may actually have been the final preparation before the door you have been praying for finally begins to open. Because what you thought was the end may actually have been the final preparation before the door you have been praying for finally begins to open. My beloved, something is shifting. You may not see it yet, but you can feel it. The heaviness is beginning to lift. The confusion is beginning to clear. The old attachment is beginning to lose its power over you. My dear one, this is not the season to run backward. This is the season to move forward with faith. The person meant for your future will not require you to abandon your peace. They will meet you with clarity. They will recognize your heart. They will not make you constantly question where you stand. And if someone from your past returns, remember this: a return is not automatically a reunion. Watch the actions. Watch the consistency. Watch whether the connection brings peace or repeats the same pain. My child, my beloved, your breakthrough may arrive disguised as a decision. A decision to finally let go. A decision to stop chasing. A decision to believe that something healthier is possible. And when you make that decision, your entire story can begin to change. My dear one, the next sign may come when you least expect it. And when it does, you will finally understand why the waiting was never wasted. And when it does, you will finally understand why the waiting was never wasted. My beloved, this is the moment where everything begins to come together. You have spent so long wondering why the door remained closed. You have questioned your worth. You have questioned your timing. You have questioned whether love was ever meant to find you. But my dear one, what if the closed door was protecting you from entering a room that was never meant to be your home? What if the delay was not denial? What if the silence was not abandonment? What if you were being protected from making a permanent decision based on a temporary emotion? My child, my beloved, look at how far you have come. There was a time when you would have accepted a half-hearted apology just to keep someone in your life. There was a time when you would have ignored your intuition because you were afraid of losing someone. There was a time when you would have chased a person who had already decided to walk away. But now, something is different. You are finally understanding your value. You are finally realizing that love should not have to be begged for. You are finally learning that someone's inability to recognize your worth does not reduce your worth. My dear one, this is your turning point. And perhaps the greatest sign that your soulmate journey is changing is not that someone suddenly appears. It is that you are no longer willing to accept what once kept you trapped. You have outgrown certain conversations. You have outgrown certain environments. You have outgrown certain relationships. And yes, you may even feel lonely because you no longer fit into the places where you once belonged. But do not mistake separation for failure. Sometimes growth creates distance. Sometimes healing changes your circle. Sometimes becoming stronger means becoming unavailable to the things that once controlled you. My beloved, you are being prepared for a love that requires you to be fully present. Not emotionally divided between the past and the future. Not constantly comparing a new person to an old wound. Not secretly waiting for someone else to return. You are being prepared to love with both eyes open. And that is powerful. Because when the right person arrives, you will not need to lose yourself to keep them. You will be able to love them and still love yourself. You will be able to give without disappearing. You will be able to trust without becoming blind. You will be able to forgive without accepting repeated disrespect. My child, remember this. A soulmate connection is not an excuse to ignore reality. A deep connection must still be built on honesty, respect, responsibility, and mutual effort. Never allow the word soulmate to convince you to stay in a relationship that continuously destroys your peace. Your soul deserves love. But your mind deserves clarity. Your heart deserves tenderness. And your life deserves stability. My dear one, if someone is truly meant to be part of your future, their actions will eventually reveal it. You will not have to force the answer. You will not have to manipulate circumstances. You will not have to chase signs every day. The truth will become visible through consistency. And if the person you have been thinking about is truly meant to walk beside you, let time reveal their intentions. Do not rush. Do not pressure. Do not panic. Let action speak. Let character speak. Let consistency speak. My beloved, perhaps someone is watching you from a distance. Perhaps someone is thinking about reaching out. Perhaps someone has realized that losing you was not as simple as they once believed. Perhaps someone from your past is beginning to understand the value of what they had. But hear me clearly. Their realization is not your responsibility. Their regret is not your assignment. Their awakening is not your burden. You do not have to pause your life while someone else figures themselves out. If they return, let them return with maturity. If they apologize, let the apology be followed by changed behavior. If they say they have changed, give time the opportunity to prove it. My child, my beloved. You are no longer living by promises. You are living by patterns. And patterns reveal what words try to hide. This is your wisdom. This is your discernment. This is the strength you earned through every painful experience you survived. And now, there is another promise I want you to hold close. Your life is not limited to romance. Your breakthrough can come through many doors. A new opportunity. A financial improvement. A career change. A new environment. A restored confidence. A healed family relationship. A renewed sense of purpose. My dear one, sometimes the soulmate chapter begins because the rest of your life starts moving forward. You become happier. You become stronger. You become more confident. You stop waiting for someone to rescue you. And suddenly, you become ready to recognize someone who can genuinely walk beside you. This is why I want you to keep building. Keep working. Keep praying. Keep healing. Keep learning. Keep becoming. Do not put your entire life on pause because you are waiting for a relationship. Your soulmate is not your entire destiny. They are part of your journey. Your purpose is bigger. Your life is bigger. Your future is bigger. And when you understand that, love becomes something beautiful you receive, not something you desperately need to survive. My beloved, tonight, make a decision. Say it in your heart. I will not chase what is not choosing me. I will not return to what repeatedly breaks me. I will not allow fear to destroy what is healthy. I will trust actions more than promises. I will believe that my future can be different from my past. And most importantly, I will not abandon myself again. My child, my beloved, if you are hearing this alone in your room, let this moment become a private promise between you and yourself. You are entering a new chapter. You are releasing the old identity. You are releasing the person who constantly wondered if they were enough. You are becoming the person who knows they are enough. And when you know your worth, you stop asking the wrong people to validate it. My dear one, something is approaching. It may not arrive exactly as you imagined. It may not look like the picture you created in your mind. But sometimes the greatest blessings arrive in forms we never expected. So stay open. Stay wise. Stay grounded. Stay hopeful. And if a new person enters your life, do not judge them by the wounds of someone who came before. Give them the opportunity to show you who they are. But do not abandon your discernment either. Open your heart slowly. Let trust be earned. Let love grow naturally. My beloved, this is where the story reaches its most important revelation. Because the person you have been waiting for may not be the only thing that is changing. You are changing the entire environment around your future. And soon, you may recognize a sign that makes you stop and say, "Now I understand." The next part will bring us to the emotional climax of this message, the moment when you finally release the last attachment holding you back, recognize the true meaning behind your waiting season, and discover the powerful promise that your story is not ending in loneliness, it is moving toward a future where love, peace, purpose, and hope can finally exist together. It is moving toward a future where love, peace, purpose, and hope can finally exist together. My beloved, you have reached the moment you were being prepared for. Not because everything in your life is suddenly perfect. Not because every question has been answered. Not because every person from your past has returned with an apology. But because you finally understand something that took you years to learn. You are not waiting for someone to give you a life. You are building a life that someone worthy can join. My dear one, that is the transformation. That is the breakthrough. That is the moment your entire perspective begins to change. You spent so long asking, when will my soulmate come? But now you are beginning to ask a better question. Who am I becoming while I wait? And my child, my beloved, look at who you are becoming. You are becoming stronger. You are becoming wiser. You are becoming more discerning. You are becoming more peaceful. You are learning to recognize the difference between attention and affection. Between attraction and alignment. Between chemistry and character. Between someone who wants access to you and someone who wants to build a life with you. You have learned lessons that no book could teach you. You learned through tears. You learned through disappointment. You learned through silence. You learned through doors that closed when you were begging them to remain open. And now, you understand. The closed doors were not proof that you were unworthy. They were proof that not every door was yours. My beloved, let that truth settle into your heart. Not every person who leaves is a loss. Not every ending is a failure. Not every goodbye is punishment. Sometimes goodbye is protection. Sometimes distance is mercy. Sometimes separation is the beginning of freedom. And sometimes, the person you thought you could not live without becomes the person you are most grateful you survived. My dear one, you survived. You are still here. You are still capable of love. You are still capable of hope. You are still capable of dreaming. That alone is a miracle. Because after everything you have experienced, you could have closed your heart forever. But you didn't. Somewhere inside you, a tiny flame remained. A quiet belief that something better was possible. And that flame brought you here. So I want you to protect it. Do not let one person's actions convince you that everyone is the same. Do not let one betrayal make you suspicious of every good heart. Do not let one failed relationship become the prophecy of your entire future. My child, my beloved, your past is evidence of what you survived. It is not evidence of what you must experience again. Your future is still unwritten. And that means something beautiful can still happen. A conversation can change your life. A meeting can change your direction. A new opportunity can change your finances. A decision can change your confidence. A healing moment can change your relationship with yourself. And yes, a person can enter your life and change the way you understand love. But remember, do not search desperately. Do not chase desperately. Do not force desperately. Live. Grow. Heal. Build. And let the right people find you while you are becoming who you were always meant to be. My beloved, if you are hearing this message alone, I want you to do something simple. Put your hand over your heart. Take one slow breath. And say, I am not forgotten. Again. I am not forgotten. I am not too late. I am not unworthy. My story is not over. I release what I cannot control. I welcome what is healthy for me. I will not abandon myself again. My dear one, let those words become more than words. Let them become your new standard. Because the next chapter of your life cannot be built with the beliefs that destroyed the previous one. You must believe that peace is possible. You must believe that healthy love exists. You must believe that you can be chosen without begging. You must believe that consistency is real. You must believe that you can be loved without losing yourself. And you must believe that even if the person you once wanted is not the person who walks beside you tomorrow, your future can still be beautiful. My child. This is where you release the need to control exactly who, when, and how. You release the obsession with signs. You release the constant checking. You release the need to interpret every message. You release the fear that if you stop chasing, everything will disappear. If something is truly meant to remain in your life, you will not have to destroy your peace to keep it. Let that be your freedom. My beloved, perhaps your soulmate is closer than you realize. Perhaps your paths are already moving toward one another. Perhaps you will meet through a situation you never expected. Perhaps a friendship will slowly become something deeper. Perhaps someone you already know will reveal a side of themselves you have never seen. Perhaps someone from your past will return with a completely different heart. Or perhaps the person meant for you has not entered your life yet. And that is okay. Because your life is not on hold. Your happiness is not on hold. Your purpose is not on hold. Your future is not on hold. You are alive. You are growing. You are becoming. And there is still so much ahead of you. My dear one, when love arrives, I want you to remember everything you learned here. Do not ignore your intuition. Do not abandon your boundaries. Do not lose yourself in another person. Do not confuse fear with discernment. Do not punish someone new for what someone old did. And do not run away from something good simply because you are afraid it might end. Give healthy love a chance. Let trust grow. Let action speak. Let time reveal character. And if the person beside you is truly meant to stay, you will not need to constantly convince them to remain. They will choose you. Again and again. Not only in the beautiful moments, but in the ordinary ones. My beloved, that is the love you deserve. A love that feels like home without becoming a cage. A love that gives you freedom without creating distance. A love that challenges you without humiliating you. A love that protects your heart without controlling your life. A love that makes you feel safe enough to be completely yourself. And when that love comes, I hope you remember the person you were when you watched this message alone. Remember the nights you cried. Remember the questions. Remember the waiting. Remember how many times you thought nothing was changing. And then look around. Look at how far you came. Because one day, you may finally understand why you had to wait. You may finally understand why certain people could not stay. You may finally understand why some doors refuse to open. You may finally understand why the timing seemed so painful. And you may look at the person beside you and whisper, "Now I understand. My child, my beloved. The waiting was not wasted. The tears were not wasted. The lessons were not wasted. The heartbreak was not wasted. Nothing you survived has to be meaningless. You can take the pain and turn it into wisdom. You can take the loneliness and turn it into strength. You can take the rejection and turn it into discernment. You can take the waiting and turn it into preparation. And you can take everything you have learned and build something beautiful. My dear one, if this message reached your heart, do not keep the hope locked inside this room. Carry it with you when you open that door. Carry it into tomorrow morning. Carry it into your work. Carry it into your conversations. Carry it into your decisions. Carry it into your future. And if you believe that your story is still unfolding, write in the comments, "My story is not over." Let those words be your declaration. Not because a comment can control destiny, but because sometimes you need to publicly remind yourself of what you privately forgot. Your story is not over. Your love story is not over. Your purpose is not over. Your breakthrough is not over. Your life is not over. There is still more. My beloved, and if you know someone who is silently struggling with loneliness, heartbreak, or the fear that they will never be loved again, share this message with them. Maybe they need these words tonight. Maybe they are sitting alone somewhere, wondering if anyone understands. Maybe they are close to giving up. And perhaps your simple act of sharing this message will remind them that they are not alone. My child. And if you want to continue walking through messages of hope, faith, healing, and spiritual encouragement, stay connected. Because sometimes one message is not the end. Sometimes it is the beginning of a new way of thinking. My dear one, now open the door. Yes. Open the door. Step out of that room. Step back into your life. Do not remain hidden. Do not remain trapped in yesterday. Do not remain frozen by fear. You came into this message carrying questions. Leave it carrying hope. You came into this message feeling uncertain. Leave it remembering your worth. You came into this message wondering if love was still possible. Leave knowing that your future has not been decided by your past. My beloved, your heart may still have scars. That is okay. Scars do not mean you are broken. They mean you survived. And one day, the right person may not be frightened by those scars. They may understand them. They may respect them. They may love you with them. But until that day, love yourself with them. Speak kindly to yourself with them. Be patient with yourself with them. You do not have to become perfect to deserve a beautiful future. You only have to keep becoming. Keep healing. Keep growing. Keep believing. My child, my beloved. May your heart find peace where it once found confusion. May your mind find clarity where it once found fear. May your life find stability where it once found chaos. May your work be blessed with new opportunities. May your finances move toward greater stability and wisdom. May your purpose become clearer. May the right people recognize your heart. May the wrong people lose their power over it. May every door that needs to close with courage. And may every door that is healthy for your future open with peace. And when love finally arrives, may you recognize it. May you receive it. May you protect it. May you build it. And may you never again confuse chaos for passion or uncertainty for destiny. My dear one, your journey is not finished. The waiting season does not define you. The heartbreak does not define you. The loneliness does not define you. You are more than what happened to you. You are more than who left you. You are more than who rejected you. You are more than your relationship status. You are a soul still becoming. A heart still healing. A life still unfolding. And perhaps the most beautiful chapter has not been written yet. So tonight, when you leave this room, leave differently. Walk differently. Think differently. Love yourself differently. Because you are no longer waiting for someone to complete your story. You are becoming ready to share a story that was already worth living. My beloved, the door is open now. Step through it. The past can stay behind you. The future is waiting ahead. And whatever comes next, meet it with wisdom. Meet it with faith. Meet it with courage. Meet it with an open heart. But never again with a heart that has forgotten its own worth. My child, my beloved. Your story is still unfolding. Your love story is still unfolding. And this time, you will not lose yourself along the way.